how do we set this up here? We've done quite a few segments on Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. And just when
it's
it
the
seems
gift that keeps on giving.
And that's exactly what I was just going to say. Like, just when it seems like this story might be running out of steam, something else happens that just makes it very entertaining and fun to cover. And, of course, one of Twitter's dumbest users had to chime in and voice her disapproval at the way Elon Musk is handling his job. And I'm talking, of course, about Alyssa Milano. Now, she had an interesting way of voicing her displeasure at Elon's handling
like,
of
really,
the social
her
media
and Stephen King need to get a podcast.
Yeah, that would be something.
That would be like the most cringe podcast on the fucking planet.
Yeah. Her, Stephen King, and Rob Reiner, probably.
Yeah.
The three of them. They could all do it together.
That's it. But you know what? There's an audience for that. That's the sad thing.
Oh, yeah. It would be a hit. There's no doubt that would be a hit. No doubt.
That would be like the pure heroin shit liberating.
Exactly.
Right? That would be like the purest shit lib product you could get.
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. That would be something. But she came up with a fairly unorthodox way of boycotting Twitter. And what I mean by unorthodox is she's not boycotting Twitter at all. Instead, she's boycotting Elon Musk's other business venture for which he is most famous. We're talking, of course, about Tesla. And so Milano tweets out, "I gave back my Tesla. I bought the VW EV, which stands for Volkswagen electric car. I love it." Now, here's her rationale for trading in a Tesla for a Volkswagen. "I'm not sure how advertisers can buy space on Twitter. Publicly traded companies' products being pushed in alignment with hate and white supremacy doesn't seem to be a winning business model." And it didn't take long for someone to chime in and alert her to the fact that Volkswagen was literally founded by the Nazis and Hitler. And Elon himself, obviously, got a kick out of that with the laugh emoji and the 100 there. And, it's just astounding. I mean, you had Whoopi Goldberg on The View just make a total imbecile of herself by saying that the Holocaust was not about race, as if she had never heard that the Nazis considered themselves a master race. And then you have Milano.
That was a white on white
brag that she traded in a Tesla for a Volkswagen because she doesn't want to do business with a company so publicly associated with hatred and white supremacy, which, I'm sorry, it's pretty common knowledge that Volkswagen was founded by Nazis. That's not something that most people don't know. A simple Google search, a quick Google, if you Google Volkswagen Nazis, literally the first thing that comes up is a source from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. And they list these 3 bits of information about Volkswagen and the Nazis. Key fact number 1, the Volkswagen Company originated during the Third Reich in an attempt to create an affordable car for the German people. Number 2, Volkswagen used both Jewish and non-Jewish forced labor, primarily from Eastern Europe. Number 3, the company operated 4 concentration camps and 8 forced labor camps on its property. So there you have it. So that's one element of just how incredibly ignorant she is. And so many of these blue check, actors, I mean, just shocking. The second thing is probably the more interesting thing, which is you're boycotting Twitter by giving back your Tesla, but keeping your Twitter account. Right? So how principled a stand is that? If you're mad at Twitter, if you think Twitter is this engine of hatred and white supremacy, don't you think you would boycott Twitter? You wouldn't boycott the other company that the guy has.
Well, it's a great example of there's nothing that could illustrate better what a bunch of disgusting narcissistic hypocrites these people are and how much their virtue signaling is just that. It's virtue signaling.
Exactly.
At first, when all the libs went crazy about Elon Musk taking over and so many advertisers left, I did at first think, oh, well, maybe they will be able to bring down Twitter. Like if they just all en masse exit Twitter, I mean, what's he going to do? And then when that didn't happen, I realized these fucking assholes have followers. They're not giving that up. To leave Twitter would actually require them to sacrifice something they care about. They don't do that. They want cost-free virtue signaling points. That is the beginning of their politics. That is the end of their politics. Exactly. As soon as they run into anything that is going to cost them anything, that is the limit of their activism. It is amazing that they don't see their own hypocrisy. How can you keep tweeting about how bad Twitter is? Like, how fucking moronic can you be to not see the hypocrisy of that? At least Whoopi, who is not the sharpest fucking knife in the drawer, at least she left Twitter. All right.
Well, they're running
at least
into,
you have some credibility at that point.
They're running into the same predicament that they forced a lot of other people into, and I was going to say right wingers into, but there are people on the left who have been censored off of these social media platforms also, which is, yeah, I mean, right wingers, you could go to Parler, you can go to Truth Social now, but that's not where the people are at. Right? And so they don't want to. There's no real audience there. I don't even know what this fucking Mastodon is. Apparently, there's an alternative to Twitter, Mastodon, that a lot of the libs are talking about. Nobody wants to go to fucking Mastodon because there ain't no people on fucking Mastodon, right? You got to be where the people are, or else your voice doesn't mean anything.
If you really care that much, though, you'd give up your platform, right? You don't want to support this white supremacy. Oh, it's terrible. Trump's on here now. Oh, it's awful.
Well, that's what I mean. It exposes.
Lives are being endangered.
It exposes.
Lives are being endangered. Aren't you supposed to boycott them? Right.
Well, sure. But this, once again, this exposes the fallacy that they've been putting forward this whole time, which is, well, this is a private company. They can do what they want. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. That was their answer to everybody. Right. But those other people felt,
go start a new one. Right. And then,
even when Parler did just that, they went after them anyway.
They got pulled off the servers.
Off the app servers. Exactly. Right. But all of that aside, like this is what they would always tell other people. Hey, this site operates a certain way. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Now they don't like it, but they're not going somewhere else because they realize there's no real use in going somewhere else. You have to be where the people are if you want to keep a following, if you want to remain relevant. And Twitter, despite the tumult of the past few weeks, is still where it's at, which means they're still going to stay. So why are you trying to force people off who you don't like? Why were you doing that before? Russell sent me an article that I unfortunately did not have time to read, but Chris Hayes now supports, apparently, and Russell, you can speak to this better than I can because I didn't have time to read the article. He supports now nationalizing these big tech companies.
He's tricky in the way that he phrases it.
All right, go ahead. I don't want to get it wrong.
He's very careful not to actually say the words public utility. He's very careful not to say that. What he does, sneaky, slippery little fucking douche that he is on the one hand, he says this is too much power to be in private hands. What Elon Musk has done over the last 2 weeks has been the greatest argument that Twitter must be a public company. But what the direction he takes that in is, well, and that's what it was under Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey said this was too much power to be in the hands of any one man. So what he's saying is it should be in the hands of the shareholding class.
Right. When he said public, he meant, okay, so
he
there you go.
Shareholders.
So he meant stockholders should be able to buy stock.
Stockholders. He's saying before Elon Musk, it was a publicly owned company because you could buy Twitter stock. So that's the sense in which Greece and Rome were democracies. If you owned land, you could vote.
Right. Yeah.
So that's his idea of democracy, which that is... You could not find something that better demonstrates the classism of these shitlets. The class perspective of these so-called leftists, well, they don't call themselves leftists. So I wouldn't even call them liberals. You're giving away the whole game. Your idea of it being owned by the public
is it being on NASDAQ, right?
That's your idea of democracy.
It's it being
That's
on the
literally
stock market.
what you think is democracy.
Right.
That
Democracy is for
shares.
rich stock buyers and sellers. Wall Street should be able to have a piece of your ass. If Wall Street can get a piece of you, then it's a democratically operated company. Yeah. I mean, that's really extraordinary.
That's what his article argues.
Extraordinary. So not a public utility then, in the sense that like the phones are a public utility. No, it should be public.
He's very careful not to say that.
That's amazing. He's
very careful. And look, Chris Hayes is not stupid. That's quite intentional. That's not an oversight. He's very careful not to say those words, and it's quite intentional that he makes clear that the Dorsey era, he's fine with that. He considers that public control of Twitter. The problem is that it's not on the stock market, not that it isn't nationalized.
Please clap.